Hey guys, do me a favor. Ask Jon Jones on social media if he will go down to 205 to fight Alex Pereira. Jon gets a wild hair every now and then. He starts responding to people on social. I'm blocked. I don't get to ask him questions. I would be curious. I would be genuinely curious about that. So you know where this is coming from, right? Dana did an interview the other day. He was asked about, and we've pushed this over here from day one, right? The idea of Pereira versus Jones. Big fight, great fight. One thing that fight is missing if Pereira goes up to challenge Jones is a belt. Well, we can fix that. We can fight for Pereira's belt. John's just got to come home. He's just got to come back to 205. All right. So that's what Dana said. Dana's like, I don't know his exact wording, but it was something along the lines of, I'm not interested in that fight at heavyweight, but sure I am at 205. Something along these lines. And I don't even know that it was unique to the White House as much as just in general. Like, yeah, if those guys want to fight, I would do the fight, but at 205. Let's stay on that idea. It's curious what Jon wants to do. It is curious. I don't know if Jon is on a quest for a title. Like, I haven't heard Jon say I should be in front of Surreal. Why would Surreal get to fight Aspinall? I fought Surreal, I beat Surreal, all of which are good arguments. Move Surreal aside, he had his opportunity, he poked him in the eye, put me right in against Tom, those guys can figure their business out later. Like, all interesting arguments. There's been absolutely no vocalness by Jon about that, to the point that all heavyweights have just stood back and accepted a statement that was made at a press conference that we're going to rematch Surreal versus Tom. Like, our whole industry has just accepted that. That always annoys me. Every single heavyweight should be interfering with that and arguing against it and talking about you don't get title fights for poking guys in the eyes. I mean, every heavyweight should be contesting that and trying to get it, but they're not. Everybody has just kind of stood back. All right, now stay with me. Stay with me. Pereira to heavyweight. We love the idea of Pereira versus Jon Jones. We all understand that. But conceptually, Pereira to heavyweight isn't about fighting Jon Jones. It is about a potential champ achievement. Getting champ status going through Jon Jones at heavyweight is possibly the worst path I could think of. Fight Jon Jones. Fight him at 205 pounds. If you beat him, you can move up to heavyweight. Now Jon Jones is out of the way. If you lose to him, you can move up to heavyweight. You've now lost your belt. The way Alex Pereira became a light heavyweight, I've heard people tell this story, and I don't know why this is one of those things that play tricks on your mind. I'm well aware that there are things that we just, like, as a society, remember wrong. But as an MMA community, how many people have told this story wrong? Alex Pereira did not move to 205 pounds because he cleaned out 185, and that is the way this story is told and retold. I've heard fighters tell this story and retell the fights. I've heard fighters from that division tell the story that way. Alex Pereira was champion. He lost the belt. That's how he became a 205-pounder. Went right in against a former champion in Błachowicz, got past him, got a title fight, came out on top. It's very difficult, while possible, it's very difficult to leave a belt behind. Now, I know we've seen it 2 times in the last year. I know we've seen Ilya do it. I know we've seen Islam do it, but it's very difficult. Those guys had really put their foot down and let the organization know, I'm not returning to that weight. I can't make that weight. Let's get on with it. I don't want to hold up a division. I'm not going to weigh that again, to where everybody goes, okay. That's not the situation with Pereira. He's openly saying, yeah, I can make 205. I would like to go to heavyweight. So I'm only suggesting for you, like, it really is a good idea if we're going to do Jones and Pereira. And I don't want to get in the way of that. Whatever we have to do to make that fight. I'm with Joe Rogan. That's the biggest fight in the history of humanity. It just makes so much more sense to do it 205 pounds. And I don't know if it's something that Pereira considered. This whole thing was Pereira's idea. It kind of caught Jones off guard. Jones is sitting on an island thinking, I got to fight Aspinall or bust. And he went with bust. He went into retirement, stayed there 8 days, jumped back in the pool. Nobody really knows what's going on, to the point that they haven't even ranked him. They not only haven't ranked him in the pound-for-pound list, which is very peculiar to me. They haven't even ranked him at heavyweight, which is even more peculiar to me. Like, somebody owes an explanation on that. We're never going to get one. We're owed one. And then all of a sudden, Pereira comes out of the woodwork. And this was very helpful. This provided an option to Jon, who thought that he had no options, who thought it's Aspinall or bust. And that put Jon kind of in a hard spot. It really did. I don't think there's a scenario where the UFC would rebook Ciryl Gane and Jon Jones. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think there would be. I mean, that was a very fishy situation. It's hard to imagine that we would revisit that on purpose. And I only share that with you that Ciryl Gane could easily become the champion of the world. So if Jon is against Aspinall, it's Jon against Aspinall for the championship and for the invincibility aura of Aspinall. And if you took that away, you could be taking a fight away from Jon. So that's where Alex Pereira just became so incredibly helpful to at least provide the option. And I'd like to see if he'd do it at 205 pounds. Jon took 3 years off to get up to heavyweight, but the reality is that he gained 8 pounds. And I don't know if Jon would take it. I mean, I'm genuinely curious. He said, I don't want to fight Aspinall. He said that. That's a hard Band-Aid to rip off. He ripped it off. I don't want to fight Aspinall. And Gano left. Ciryl isn't compelling. They put him in the rankings. There's some reason for that. I keep dwelling on that, and I can't get... Nobody seems to understand why that is so relevant, but it is. 205, world title opportunity. No-lose situation for Pereira, as I see it, and it's the champion that you really look after. Is Jones going to come back? Does Jones want to defend? If Jones is to beat Pereira, that would mean that Jones, at least according to the rankings, draws in to Olberg. Can you envision in your mind a poster and a marquee and a time that Jon Jones is fighting Carlos Olberg? It becomes one of these things. It becomes one of these tough spots. How do we do this? How do we bring all these things together? How do we accomplish it? How do we make sure that the guy who wins and gets the rub returns? And that, for now, is an impossible question to answer.